I received an email this week asking about what is the right and the wrong time to stretch, specifically to optimize performance, but at the same time avoid injury. I really enjoyed this question because I like the idea that they're putting those two ends of the bookcase together. Everybody's goal is to be healthier. If you're into a highly competitive athletic mode, obviously you want to perform optimally. But as you've heard me say numerous times, the only two things that'll slow you down and even stop your incremental improvement is getting sick and or injured. And this is where knowing when and how to warm up and or stretch properly go together and avoid an injury. When we come back to the original question, what is the right time to stretch? Well, you notice I almost gave it away when I made that comment. I want you to rephrase the question. It's not when is the right time to stretch, it's when are you going to do your warm up? Ironically, we see a lot of injuries that report themselves to our wellness clinics. We see people get injured when they don't warm up. We've even seen a lot of individuals that actually get hurt stretching because they're stretching cold muscles. And this is what and where we start to get the two to intersect together. We don't ever want to stretch a muscle that is cold. Now, I've gone toe-to-toe on public podcasts. I've gone toe-to-toe with direct messaging and email conversations with people who say, my trainer suggests that I stretch first thing in the morning. Well, I'm going to politely disagree. And the reason why I politely disagree with that is if you study the principles of physiology, the body's always going to protect the heart as the number one organ. It's the most vital organ that we have in our body. I know that may sound like a Captain Obvious statement, but when we come back to the subject of stretching, let that Captain Obvious statement dictate your behavior. If the blood is going to centralize around the heart, what that means is there's less circulatory blood in the extremities, exactly the same muscle groups that you're going to be trying to stretch. Now you go, no, Rob, I want to stretch my core. Okay, well, you got a pretty good chance that your core is going to be warmer than your legs, your arms. My point is this, what you want to keep in mind when it comes to stretching is you want to get the heart rate elevated to get the blood to distribute from the heart and the centralized region of the body into the extremities. The best way to do that is through sport-specific activity. Now, you may be a runner and you may warm up with an elliptical. That's fine. It doesn't mean that I want to make sure this isn't a double negative. Using an elliptical is not a wrong thing to use to get a warm-up routine going for running. What I am saying is you want to, let's say you are a runner, you want to walk for a couple minutes, then run nice and easy. The hard part is if you're not using a Garmin heart rate monitor, a lot of times people will push the intensity too hard too early during a warm-up, which then ends up getting them injured. And they say, well, see, the warm-up is what injured me. No, the intensity of the warm-up is what injured you. So we kind of have to back this up. And I hate to use negative examples, but in my line of work as a physiologist, most people can resonate with injuries and or the wrong way that they've done something in the past. I've seen people warm up, intensity is too high, they get hurt. I've seen people stretch cold muscles and they get hurt. So they get very, very confused. They get very frustrated. Let's say that you have low back pain and you know that you've got to try to get those lower back muscles to elongate. You don't want to get up in the morning and start stretching cold muscles. Your risk of injuring and tearing those are quite high. So go for a walk, do an elliptical, walk on a treadmill, get on a spin bike, do anything, a bike on a stationary trainer, do anything to get the heart rate elevated 10, 15, 20 beats. So if your resting heart rate's 80, just get the heart rate up to 90 or 100. Get it to where you start to break a slight sweat. That's when you know that you've optimized the temperature inside the tissue and now it's going to be receptive to being stretched. What you don't want to do is take a cold muscle and try to elongate it. The stretch reflex that sits inside the Golgi apparatus, which is in the belly of each muscle fiber, it has a communication system to keep you from pushing that muscle tissue too far and tearing it. It's called the myotactic stretch reflex. Don't let the terminology intimidate you. Just be educated on you can actually hurt yourself trying to stretch. And then if you tear the muscle tissue, that soft tissue then gets replaced with scar tissue. Scar tissue is inelastic by nature. You're actually going to have less range of motion because you tore the tissue trying to improve your range of motion. That's where we get caught into a very vicious cycle of frustrations. So that's the purpose of these videos, is to do just that. Debunk the misinformation that's floating around out there. Please don't ever stretch a cold muscle. And now you know the reasons why. Great question. As always, if you happen to have a question, I'd love to answer it. Please feel free to send me an email to contact@coachrob.com. We're putting out a video every day here on YouTube. The number of subscribers continues to climb and we deeply appreciate it. Please make sure that you turn on the notifications as well so that way you'll know when the next one drops. Be safe and we'll see you next time.